clamp down on corporations who avoid tax. Customs stepping up security checks in Port Moresby. And local company claims ownership over Boulevard design.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Friday's news. From early next year, the government, through the Internal Revenue Commission, will be clamping down on multinational corporations who avoid paying taxes due to PNG. Through an arrangement between the national government and OECD, the Internal Revenue Commission will work with Tax Inspectors Without Borders to carry out audits to see if companies have been deliberately avoiding paying taxes owed to PNG. According to Treasurer Charles Abel, this partnership is aimed at protecting the country's revenue base, especially in the resource sectors.
The agreement to have Tax Inspectors Without Borders come into PNG to assist the IRC was signed by Treasurer Charles Abel on Thursday. According to the Treasurer, this measure is being taken to clamp down on several multinational companies who he claims use their expertise to evade paying their fair share of taxes to PNG.
And they can use that sophistication to potentially manipulate the tax burden and shift profits and so on, use means to minimize tax within the country. So this is just to help the IRC build capacity to address some of these issues, and it's very much welcomed.
TIWB is a fairly new initiative, but already has a presence in over 20 other countries. According to OECD Global Relations Head of Division, Ben Dickinson, this program has already proved successful with significant revenue recouped for developing countries.
So far, the initiative has recovered taxes due to developing countries to the tune of just under $500 million, and we've been going for a couple of years. Around 20 countries where the program is in operation, and it's great that we're able to extend the support to Papua New Guinea.
With ITWB officers embedded within the IRC, this will also assist in improving the skills and building the capacity of IRC's auditors.
So the TIWB assistance will be valuable in terms of not only raising revenue but also building capacity for our auditors in the IRC, so that we work together with those TIWB experts to raise revenue but also to build capacity.
According to the OECD, the ITWB program is one that seeks to monitor closely the practices of multinational corporations across borders to ensure that countries do not miss out on taxation payments that at most times are sent to tax havens.
We understand that there are some sectors that are particularly vulnerable to the loopholes that exist in the ways that multinational enterprises can shift profits from where they are due to other jurisdictions, and in some cases those profits don't get taxed at all because they end up in secrecy jurisdictions.
Obviously the TIW being successful in a lot of other countries where it has been implemented, we feel that would also assist us in terms of conducting audits into the areas that we currently do not have the expertise, especially in the resource sector, the forestry and fishing area, and other industry types that we have not been able to conduct audits into, and we feel that there is revenue to be gained, but we just don't have the expertise.
Meribatulo, National EMTV News.
The goal of the revised Development Cooperation Policy 2018 to 2022 is to ensure that development cooperation resources make maximum contribution to the achievement of the country's Medium-Term Development Plan 3. The policy has been revised from the first one in 2015 to reflect the development priorities articulated in the MTDP3, which also incorporates the Sustainable Development Goals. The 27.2 billion kina policy will be launched next week Thursday in the company of key stakeholders.
The outcome of the review of the 2015 DCP raised a lot of concerns in terms of how development partners and government agencies managed and prioritized donor funds. Some key findings highlighted the boomerang aid, with large components of the development partner employing many foreign technical advisors, with limited transfer of skills and knowledge between international technical advisors and local counterparts. National Planning Minister Richard Maru said a new policy will guide development partners in terms of development aid.
Rearrange the way the modality we use so that the funds are better spent on projects that will have a lasting impact in our country. So under the new reform we are looking at, we want to see donors now using our own institutions to deliver donor programs.
The revised policy is said to correct these concerns highlighted from the review by effectively coordinating all development cooperation programs and projects and ensure they are linked to the MTDP3.
That many donors do not want to work through our own institutions. Donors feel that they are not ready to be used or cannot be trusted, and it's up to the donors to help us build the capacity and the governance systems of those.
The delivery modalities of the policy will ensure that 50% of donor funds be steered towards economic infrastructure, greater presence at the district level, increased budget support arrangements in accordance with PNG's fiscal requirement for a program-based approach, South-South cooperation between PNG and countries of the South, and climate financing.
Donors don't decide which programs we want funded in Papua New Guinea. Their programs are already in the medium-term development plan number 3. We as a country must decide on our own development priorities, and all we want donors to do is identify the projects that we've already earmarked in the plan and look at how we can fund them. So under the new reform we are looking at, we want to see donors now using our own institutions to deliver donor programs.
The country gets 2 billion kina every year from donors. Mr. Maru said they remain as important actors in the development process. He said a new policy will enhance and, when necessary, restore engagement to accelerate inclusive and sustainable economic growth in the country. Charlene Airy, National MTV News.
Customs officials in Port Moresby will be stepping up their security checks using mobile scanning machines. These scanning vehicles, which were given by the Chinese government, will be put to use during the arrival of world leaders and their delegates for the APEC Leaders Summit next month.
The mobile scanners are the first of its kind for Papua New Guinea Customs. Created to detect illegal substances, including drugs and illicit items, these mobile scanners are predicted to boost security checks at the airports and wharves.
We were able to control the borders well, and those who continue to bring in illicit were put on notice. And that is one good thing that was able to improve our risk profile management of the business. And we hope that what we have done has been recognized by the government. And
the Chinese government has assisted the PNG government in a massive way to prepare Port Moresby for the APEC Leaders Summit. The arrival of these scanners now places PNG Customs at a better position to carry out such an important task when PNG welcomes close to 15,000 international delegates in November.
You know, this is the first time for PNG to host such a grand gathering. And as a matter of fact, President Xi Jinping of China was the first world leader, to promise to come to attend the APEC meeting.
National Planning Minister Richard Maru has welcomed the continuous support by the Chinese government and appreciates the work customs officers have put in to ensuring such an important machine arrives on time for the Leaders' Week.
The road to securing the 3 mobile units have not been easy. Because when we first requested that national planning, we were told that the entire budget for APEC for China has been used up. So today I want to place on record my sincere appreciation to the ambassador who worked behind the scenes and tirelessly to make sure we were able to secure funding for the 3 units.
Because of the technology involved, technicians from NewTek, the company that manufactures these mobile scanners, will be training PNG customs officials on how to use such machines.
And NewTek, we are a special professional company, develop a high-tech technology for inspection, for use for custom and border protection, and especially to find drug, weapon, and explosive.
There are plans to have these scanners moved to Lae and Vanimo after the APEC Leaders Week. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The Papua New Guinea Defence Force stands ready to support the APEC security operations led by the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. Third in charge of PNGDF, Colonel Sialediro, says on the 29th of this month, all specialist units of the PNGDF, including air and sea elements, will gather in Port Moresby ready for duty. Colonel Diro made these comments after a visit to the Control Command Post at Tarama, the base of the 1st Royal Pacific Islands Regiment.
Because of the sensitivity of the exercise, the media was asked not to film the drill or what the inside of the command control post looks like. However, when giving an overall view, PNGDF Chief of Force Preparation, Colonel Sialediro, says he is pleased with the level of training and commitment from soldiers, naval officers, and the Air Transport Wing. Colonel Diro has also expressed appreciation towards our bilateral partners, especially the Australian Defence Force and the New Zealand Army. As Papua New Guinea counts down to the arrival of world leaders for the APEC summit in November, the Papua New Guinea Defence Force is concluding its final preparations towards assisting the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary in the APEC security operations. The 1st Royal Pacific Islands Regiment is the unit leading the PNGDF in APEC-related security exercises. Since 2016, members of PNGDF have undertaken extensive exercises to improve their individual skills in specialist areas. Commanding Officer of 1RPIR, Lieutenant Colonel Boniface Aruma, is extremely pleased with the outcome of the different trainings his soldiers had been put through during the 4 years of preparations. Meanwhile, the APEC summit will be hosted from the 15th to the 18th of November. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Specialist soldiers in the field of engineering have refurbished the training cells at the PNG Defence Force Tarama base outside of Port Moresby. The refurbished cells will be used to conduct training following its official opening today.
The training cells were officially opened following a brief dedication ceremony prior to the cutting of ribbons. It was refurbished in 14 days with assistance from Australian Defence Force personnel through the Defence Corporate Programme. The opening today coincides with the launching of the Standard Operations Procedures for the unit, an important booklet that captures the do's and don'ts a soldier from 1RPIR must comply with. The field specialist is a sub-unit within the 1st Royal Pacific Islands Regiment that takes on construction taskings within the unit. The cell is now equipped with computers, chairs and tables with air conditioning, making it a proper training environment. Earlier this year, computer distributor Dataco presented 5 new computers to 1RPIR, a commitment that has assisted the unit in setting up its training center. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
A local company from Papua New Guinea is calling for a sit-down with the National Capital District as they claim the design of the Independence Boulevard was originally theirs. The company came to the EMTV office today to present their design of the boulevard, and they want recognition by NCD.
The 40 million Kina 6-lane Independence Boulevard in NCD is set to open soon, but a local project management company wants official recognition for coming up with the original design concept. The land that the boulevard now runs through was part of the National Broadcasting Commission radio transmission station, and the company had expressed interest to develop the area. Womco Limited had initially done phase 1 of the project, which was an engineering and feasibility study. It was looking to invite and had an investor for phase 2 of the project. The company started its phase 1 on October 8, 2016, and with the conclusion of the first phase, the project was estimated at 2.7 to 3 billion Kina, which includes the boulevard, hotels, apartments, and housing projects. The project was delayed based on a Supreme Court decision that the NBC didn't have the land titles but equitable interests over the land.
The current boulevard that has been completed, construction is ready for launching, is basically our brainchild. We came up with the concept as well.
The company showed their initial design of the boulevard, dated 26 October 2016, which shows the boulevard from Parliament House, but cuts through the NBC property, meeting the Somare Circuit Road at the Telecom Rumana building en route to the same Manasupe building, while the current design goes straight to Waigani Drive. NCD took on the project under the state's compulsory acquisition of land, and the Chinese company China Harbour Engineering built the boulevard.
If we construct all the way here, there will be a bottleneck, there will be a traffic jam there, so we changed that concept and we put it all the way to Kumul Avenue. We'll be linking up to Manasupe.
The company says they just want some recognition by the National Capital District Commission and meet with them to settle the issue.
There should have simply been understanding between NCDC and NBC, and we should be pulled into the picture to complete that project. And we as Papua New Guineans, we want to contribute and we need to be recognized.
The managing director of Womco Limited told MTV that they are not looking at taking legal action, but to sit down with NCD and find a solution to their matter.
People must understand that we have that option to take up a court injunction, because we are Papua New Guineans. It will defeat the whole purpose of the initial engagement. So we just don't want to jeopardize this launching.
Fidelis Sukina, National MTV News.
You're at Friday's News. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after these short messages. Welcome back. Minister for Public Enterprise and State Investment William Duma wants Air Niugini and Kumul Telecom Holdings to pay dividends to the government. Minister Duma yesterday announced the National Executive Council's appointments of managing directors for the two state-owned entities. The appointments come when both companies are facing issues with customer confidence.
Minister Duma announced Alan Millen as the Managing Director for Air Niugini Limited and Paul Hydes for Kumul Telecom Holding. Minister Duma says he is hoping the pair will bring a fresh start for both state-owned entities.
I remain confident as Minister responsible for all of our SOEs that these two gentlemen will help change the way we've been able to manage those two important companies and deliver us the results that our people of Papua New Guinea have been looking forward to.
The minister says both SOEs should start paying dividends to the government.
With the new chairman and new board members of these two companies, coupled with the recent appointments of these two gentlemen, I believe that given time, both companies will turn around and make it and contribute to our economy in terms of dividends.
With the recent uproar and the lack of confidence from the public with both SOEs, Minister Duma says he is hoping the new managing directors can turn the situation around. Adelaide Sirax Kari, National, MTV News.
Contractors with the City Council in Lae are worried that their outstanding payments may be delayed with the postponed signing of the Lae City Authority's Memorandum of Understanding. The MOU was supposed to be signed on Wednesday. However, Lord Mayor and Deputy Chairman of the Lae City Authority, Koim Trilu Lae, asked for 2 weeks so he could consult with the Lae Urban LLG councillors before signing.
These are a few of the contractors that came to the Lae member's office yesterday. They were frustrated when they heard that the Lord Mayor and Deputy Chairman of the Lae City Authority, Koim Trilu Lae, delayed signing the City Authority's agreement.
Miplai frustrated on contractor Miplai been working come that's long outstanding need long sign him so that all must make him payment.
Put him legally signature or MOU. You know put him. You make him plenty people or city suffer.
On Wednesday, Lae's new City Authority board met to sign an agreement that would give the LCA control over revenue and accounts. The Lord Mayor Koim Trilu Lae asked the City Authority board for 2 weeks to consult with the 6 Lae Urban LLG councillors before signing the agreement.
This is the first of its kind. You have to agree, sometimes you have to disagree. You know, in order that you give everything from your house to somebody else, you know, you're going to feel a pain.
The board agreed, however, this will delay the board's plans to improve services.
If they do not sign the MOU, then the risk is that, one, it'll be harder for us to manage the city, and I will then have to be forced to table to the board that I will have to take it to National Parliament to do legislative changes to allow us to run and manage the city.
The contractors said they've suffered long enough under the Lae City Council and they want change in the authority.
Take him 4 or 5 years, na sambla 6 years, sambla mi blacks him court order, kind something mi block him come. Ino nabna still impending yet.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Lae.
More than 360 teachers from Lae District who were affected with pay cuts said the deductions made were different from their usual deductions from financial institutions they applied to. The teachers said the deduction of 100 to 300 kina each for 4 pay periods was not normal. They want to know where their money has gone. Some teachers told EMTV News in Lae that they were warned by Moresby Education Division not to air their concerns on the media.
We've visited 14 schools in Lae and heard from more than 360 teachers that 100 kina to 400 kina each was deducted from their salaries for 4 pay periods. The teachers said they have loans and they know how much they would be left with after the usual deductions. However, they said off camera that the concern of their pay cuts since pay 18 and some since pay 13 was not normal.
Yes, of course, we have problems with our pays, but I think the authorities' concerns are looking at it.
When we visited St. Martin's Primary School this morning, we were told by the head teacher that few officers from the department are currently in Lae with the Salaries Division to investigate the problem. The school said teachers said all 14 teachers teaching there and 2 elementary school teachers were also affected. He said he was called by one of the officers from the department and was told why the deductions were made.
And the explanation was that the Alaska, the machine from Waigani, has been very slow in processing the paychecks for every individual teachers in Lae, including our teachers in St. Martin's Primary. As soon as the machine came back, and when all the deductions came about, the pay for all teachers dropped suddenly. Situation came about after the investigation. We should be able to know the real answer to the deduction.
The teachers have told us that it's very difficult for them to obtain their pay slips to see where the deduction was made. They said the Alesco system is not effective and efficient. Some said they still haven't received their pay slips since 2014. Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Lae.
The member for Lae, John Rosso, said the teachers' pay cut concern is serious and calls on the Education Minister and the government to quickly sort out the problem. Rosso said the matter was brought to his attention and he has authorized his officers to work closely with the teachers concerned. So far, 360 teachers from 14 schools in Leh district were affected, with pay cuts to their salaries for 4 fortnights.
That is a very, very serious issue, and teachers are a backbone, like health workers, policemen, teachers. They're the backbone of our society. Without teachers, we would be standing where we were. So it is a very serious concern to me. It's been brought to my attention. I've got my office to work in conjunction with the teachers to ensure that we get credible information. I cannot make a major comment until I have all the information before me and I know the facts. But if it is true, it is grossly wrong, and it's wrong for the teachers. They're teaching our kids, they're struggling to survive, and we should rectify it as a government. We should find the solution and fix it as soon as possible. Once I have all the facts and stuff, I will be bringing it to the attention of our Good Education Minister and to government, probably in the next Parliament session, because it is of great concern to me as a member for Leh.
The national government is looking at options to relocate and settle the affected Kadova Islanders of East Sepik. In a recent joint news conference, Minister responsible Kevin Isifu says talks have been held with the Murik community. Minister Isifu says all options will be considered before permanently settling the villages. Nearly 600 men, women and children are currently residing at the Dandan Care Centre.
It has been 10 months since the Kadova Islanders were relocated to the mainland of East Sepik. However, life has never been easy for the 600 islanders who have faced many issues. Minister responsible and local MP Kevin Isifu says they will be relocated.
So that land is about 3,000 hectares. So we are now looking at negotiating with the landowners there and getting the paperwork in order so that we can identify it quickly. By next week, we will have a team coming down to work to check on the status of this land and resolve with the landowners so we can confirm that area and we can permanently resettle our Kadova Island people.
After visiting the Dandan Care Centre recently, Minister Isifu made known that talks have begun with communities in Murik. He says under the Restoration Act, the islanders will be permanently resettled. Isifu says the government is aware of hiccups faced at the Dandan Care Centre.
In the due course, I will sit down with my district disaster committee and my DDA so that we can resolve to see how best we can look after our people and take care of the daily needs.
According to Kadova Islanders, NGOs, churches, donor partners and private stakeholders have come to their help in the past 10 months. They also want an audit into the operation of the care centre. Meanwhile, National Planning Minister Richard Maru says the Kadova and Manam Islanders will be included in the 2019 budget.
So I can certainly confirm, from my perspective, in the development budget for next year, we'll be providing funding for the relocation of both the Kadova and the Manam people.
Jack Lapava, Junior National, EMTV News.
2 of East Sepik's most wanted criminals have been captured in Leh. Yanguru Salsia member and National Planning Minister Richard Maru commended Leh police in assisting them capture the criminals. The 2 men, namely Theo Wani and Jude Juaraye, are both from East Sepik. Theo was wanted for robbery and the murder of a bus driver, and Jude was wanted for an armed hold-up and rape of women passengers in a bus travelling along the Sepik highway. Both have been on the run for over 4 months. They were caught through a combined operation between Yanguru and Leh police. Mr. Maru said Yanguru Salsia is no place for criminals and he would make sure they are hunted down to face the law.
I have no time for criminals. No criminals in Yanguru Salsia will be tolerated. We will hunt you, however long it takes. Wherever you are in Papua New Guinea, we will get you. My district has funded a full mobile operation that's been going now for the last 4 months, and that will continue.
West Sepik Governor Tony Wowo wants development partners to extend and maintain the Sepik Highway from Wewak to Lumi. Governor Wowo says roadworks must not stop in Maprik but continue to connect both east and west. He says the road will serve nearly 500,000 people in both East and West Sepik.
With a gold mine coming up soon.
Speaking in Port Moresby, West Sepik Governor Tony Wowo expressed his concerns of the stretch of the Sepik Highway proposed by the only able government. Governor Wowo says the road must not stop in Maprik but continue to Lumi.
Please do not exclude my people from the province. We have contributed eminently to the economical boost of this country, particularly in the East Sepik provincial government.
The Sepik Highway will begin in Wewak and stretch inland connecting the East and West Sepik. About 5 districts in Central Sepik will benefit from the road connection. But Governor Wowo wants clarification from donor partners and the government.
If the Australian cannot be able to consider the Sepik Highway, then I'm asking why they are not going to fund the whole entire road. If they're going to do that, please let us know so that we can be able to look for some other kind of fundings outside from the outside, and they can be able to fund the road, and the people of my province and East Sepik can be able to have a good road.
The Australian government has funded 20 million for this road under its Transport Sector Support Program. The Sepik Highway is one of the priority areas of the current government regime to connect missing links. Jacob Power Jr., National EMTV News.
The Department of Works recently signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Koroba Lake Kopiago District Development Authority in Port Moresby. This is for the maintenance and construction of various roads in the Koroba Lake Kopiago District in Hela Province.
Road networks in the Koroba Lake Kopiago District of Hela Province are very poor. Works Minister Michael Nally says during one of his visits to the area, he noticed that the road conditions were very bad.
You have to be a smart driver to drive to Kopiago because you'll have to align your wheels on logs. And if you slip, there is no way you'll get out. It will take you a couple of hours if you are lucky, otherwise it will take you days to get your car back on track.
The minister says DOW workers will be deployed for the maintenance and construction of roads in the Koroba Lake Kopiago district. The minister also made mention that local contractors, when given contracts by the Department of Works, they don't do their jobs properly and the blame then comes back to DOW.
Department of Works is not going to throw this responsibility onto the districts and say to them, you can conduct yourself in whatever you want to conduct yourself. No, we will be there. Department of Works will be there on the ground to make sure that we help them with the designs, with the standards, and make sure that these roads are built properly, because over time these roads will eventually turn into some of the economic roads.
Works Secretary David Wera says other similar agreements were made. This was the 5th one by the Koroba Lake Kopiago district. Koroba Kopiago MP Petrus Thomas was also there, says a total of 1 million kina was given to the Department of Works to fix the roads. He also urged other members to fix road networks in rural areas in their provinces.
They need services to be delivered to that part of the district. The district, Koroba Community District Development Authority, were of the view that it was only fitting that we partner with Department of Works, and the Works Department has the capacity, has the know-how, and they are the best project managers we can find in the country, as they have the experience and expertise.
The MOU was signed by Works Secretary David Wera, member for Koroba Kopiago, Petrus Thomas, Koroba Kopiago District Development Chairman Johnson Tiggy, and Works Minister Michael Nally. Michelle Stephen, National EMTV News.
You're at National EMTV News. We'll be back with more after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Turning overseas, the royal tour of Australia continued today with Prince Harry and wife Meghan visiting Sydney's Bondi Beach and a charity funded by a New Zealander to highlight issues around mental health.
A coronation for a duchess, Bondi style.
The Meghan's like, where's mine? So I'm like, don't worry, we'll got you covered.
The royal couple donning leis and disposing of shoes for a walk on one of the world's most iconic beaches to highlight one of its most pressing issues. Visiting an organisation founded by New Zealander Grant Tribulko, working to raise awareness of mental health.
One thing that really stuck out for me that Prince Harry said was, if you are struggling, it's not a sign of weakness, it's actually a strength to reach out for help.
The pair joining Fluoro Friday, the idea sharing personal stories and surfing with a splash of colour. Mr. Tribulko came up with the idea when he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Surfing with his dad at Mount Maunganui gave him hope. Today, his proud parents made the trip from Tauranga to take part.
Can you ever have imagined from where this began after Grant coming out of hospital to today being a main feature of a royal visit?
Never in a million years.
No, it's pretty emotional, really.
From its start here at Bondi, these Fluoro Friday sessions are now held at more than 150 beaches around the world, from Mexico to the Maldives, but it's unlikely they've ever had such high-profile participants.
Yeah, it feels surreal for sure, but they were so friendly and it felt like they were just good mates.
I think they shared just a little bit about, the mental challenges that they face in their life and how they deal with them, and it's all about talking to people, sharing it.
Contrast that with the formalities when the Queen visited in 1954. Royal protocol not quite as strict this time.
I was too busy waiting to give her a hug.
Did you get a hug?
Listen, oh yeah, I got two actually.
And perhaps better received than this bunch of carrots, even on a day when colour was king.
International fallout from the suspected killing of a Saudi journalist is growing. America, Britain, France and the Netherlands have now all pulled out of a big investment conference next week in Saudi Arabia. Saudi officials are still denying having anything to do with the journalist's apparent disappearance.
Investment Initiative is the global platform.
3 weeks ago, this was the hottest ticket around for the global elite. An invitation to next week's Saudi investment conference. The self-styled Davos in the desert is fast becoming the exodus from the desert. But after the apparent murder of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi, world leaders are now sending apologies for absence.
And shapes the future of economy for the betterment of all mankind.
That's as may be, but today the US Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin became the latest to pull out. He tweeted, "Just met with Donald Trump and Secretary Pompeo, and we've decided I won't be participating in the summit in Saudi Arabia." This is significant because that's the first direct action sanctioned by the president in the wake of this macabre killing. Though Secretary of State Pompeo was still saying the Saudis needed more time.
I told President Trump this morning that we ought to give them a few more days to complete that so that we too have a complete understanding of the facts surrounding that, at which point we can make decisions about how or if the United States should respond to the incident surrounding Mr. Khashoggi.
But from the president, the language seems to be toughening as more is discovered.
What are you considering for possible consequences for Saudi based on those?
Well, it'll have to be very severe. I mean, it's bad stuff.
Investigators have been back at the consulate in Istanbul, continuing their forensic examination of the building. Meanwhile, the Washington Post has printed the Saudi journalist's final column with its clarion call for press freedom in the Middle East. Mohammed bin Salman, who was feted as a reforming hero when he came to the US earlier this year, is under immense pressure to explain what happened, why it happened, and the gruesome question of how. All of which leaves Donald Trump with his biggest foreign policy emergency since becoming president. He wants the relationship with Saudi Arabia to continue unaffected. But as more details emerge, how easy will that be?
And back home now, Lae City Authority will give 100 kiosks to women to assist with their small businesses at home and in their communities. The kiosks are funded and distributed by Coca-Cola Amatil in partnership with Lae District and BSP Bank. 7 successful women who applied received their kiosks and have already started their small businesses at home.
The list that we provided. Regina Watapi is one of the 7 applicants selected to receive this kiosk. She said it used to be difficult doing her sales at home because of no proper shelter. Regina was given this Coca-Cola kiosk along with 2 cartons of Coke and a trading license with the support of Lake District to begin a small business at home.
Coca-Cola kam lusim form, one time law office block member, na mipla all Mary about 25 mipla go na mipla pull mapim form, mipla apply, na ego backend lo Coca-Cola na all yet all screen him all gata applications, and then only choose him out of the 25 only gives him first top 7. So I was one of those selected one in the first top 7.
The kiosk are funded by Coca-Cola in partnership with Lake District and BSP Bank, who will be training these women on accountancy and to open up their bank accounts. 50 of these kiosks are expected to be distributed to the successful applicants by December this year. The other half will be given out in 2019. Coca-Cola's Public Affairs and Communications Manager, Rhonda Kopman, says a land title and trading license are the 2 things they look for when selecting the applicants.
Women have trading licenses, and the members' office have been very supportive because they've stepped in and they're assisting these women with a 12 months operating license and also land title. Mainly, why these 2? We want them to be sustainable. Business not can start because they don't have a trading license or they've been evacuated.
The member for Ley, John Rosso, this morning handed over the trading license at the cost of 250 kina to this successful applicant. Rosso says the initiative aims to improve SME and to empower women's development with the small business in order to sustain their families. The Moresby provincial government also supports the partnership.
Coke basically funds everything. From the members' office, we pay for the license fees, which is about 250 kina for each kiosk. We donate a couple of cartons of Coke as a startup capital. Coke provides every single thing, which is about 4,000 to 5,000 kina startup, including the kiosk stand and the initial goods for starting up. BSP helps with opening up the accounts and stuff, and the governor's office and my office basically work in partnership to help them get it off the ground.
Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Ley.
Chukai Sport is next. Stay tuned for some sporting action after the break.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The PNG LNG Kumals are in camp in preparation for their first match against the England Knights next week. Both teams will be involved in different school visits and community engagements during the week before the match.
The PNG LNG Kumals will have a training session next Monday in Port Moresby before flying to the Moresby province on Wednesday. The Kumals will visit Ley Secondary and Coronation International schools on Thursday before coach Michael Marum announces his side to take on the England Knights. The Knights will arrive at the Jacksons International Airport on Thursday at 2 p.m. before transiting to Ley at 4 p.m. The captain's run for both teams will be held at the Ley Rugby League grounds on Friday afternoon. The first match of the 2-game series kicks off at 3 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. Both teams return to Port Moresby on Sunday to start preparations for the second game at the Oil Search National Football Stadium. Elijah Levette, National EMTV Sports.
It's just a little over 24 hours until the Blockbuster League Test clash between the Kangaroos and Tonga. And the Tongan teams being treated like royalty since they arrived in New Zealand, but last night they got a taste of the real deal.
It's usually after a big win that a team is welcomed into the home of its national leader. But last night the Tongan King decided he wanted to say a few words to Mate Maatonga, so off they went.
Not too many sports people in Tonga get to meet the King, and our whole team got the opportunity to last night, so it was a special occasion.
Was there anything in particular that he said that can be used for motivation? He taught us a bit about the history of Tonga and the Warriors back in the days, and I'm sure the boys will take a little bit from it and take it into the game.
And when it comes to Tonga's sporting history, there aren't too many achievements bigger than what Tonga did at last year's World Cup. The island nation's biggest moments include the historic rugby union win over the Wallabies in 1973, then this one in 2011.
In Rugby World Cup history, Tonga has beaten France.
Another is Bayer Wolfgram's Olympic boxing silver medal in 1996. At today's captain's run, it dawned on the team that a win over the world champion Kangaroos tomorrow would arguably be Tonga's greatest ever win.
We're playing the best team in the world, and they've been the best for a long time, and they're the best for a reason. We've thrown all our resources into this game to make sure that we're as well prepared as we can be.
That includes flying in bruising second rower Ben Murdoch Masila after he played for Warrington in last Sunday's Super League Grand Final. The 27-year-old wasn't named in the initial 17, but he hasn't come halfway around the world just to watch.
It's awesome to have been here. He was awesome for us in the World Cup. Brought a lot of strike on off the bench, and I'm sure he'll do a good job for us.
His 120-kilo frame bolstering an already intimidating Tongan pack.
Chukai Sports continues with more after the break. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. Plenty of All Blacks have been given later boarding passes, including uncapped Hawke's Bay loose forward Gareth Evans, who'll be playing for the Magpies tomorrow night against Otago, a team which launched his career 7 years ago. And that ends Chukai Sports. You have the details for the next 24 hours coming up next.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Quick look at the weather forecast in the southern region. Cloudy with some showers in Port Moresby. In the Mamasi region, cloudy with some rain in Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, rain in Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, fog and rain drizzles right across the region in Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabek.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's the way it is this Friday, 19th of October 2018. On behalf of the news team around the country, I'm Helen Seah. Pleasant viewing. Have a safe weekend. Good night.